of lonely? What makes it so lonely?
Because I stand alone in where I see it and how I view it and how I'm imparting in my understanding. I don't I don't relate to all the traditionalists out there at all, but I still, can take anybody and turn them into a beautiful dancer as long as they have the interest. Not a limited dancer, but one who has basically on the way of mastering and maximizing on their limitations. See, I'm 6'1", so I can't be 7 feet. You see, so am I limited? I don't think so. If I maximize on my understanding of who I am, then I can appear to be 7 feet. You see, the illusion is there. If I'm believing it, it's going to transmit. If I'm feeling it, it's going to transmit to the audience. It's an energy thing. When someone feels stable. When the eye of the storm is there. It's haunting. It doesn't matter if you put two dancers in the same position. You'll know, even if you don't see real hardcore visible signs, I can sit you there and I can show you very quickly, that one dancer is holding the movement and the other one is actually feeling the movement. Even if they're standing still, you can tell the difference.
Working through it. That's going to create the aesthetic that you're looking for. Right? You're going to feel immediate muscle dynamic inherent within the resistance. Okay? The inherent technique of what you're doing. What is technique? Okay. The way you do things, okay. All right. Well, that's partially true. All right. It is true. All right. But the technique has to have a purpose behind it. All right. And in dance art, since this is physical, what are we looking to accomplish? What's our primary goal?
Aesthetics.
Okay, but how do you get there?
Musculature. Stuff like muscles and bones.
Okay, muscles and bones, and what about them? Your relationship with them, right? The feeling, right? The kinesthesia, right? That's what we're looking for. The feel. Form, feel, freedom. All right, you'll learn what this means. And I want you to be so loving to the floor. This is your bestest of friends. All right, and you want to preserve this friendship like you wouldn't believe. And the way you do that is to speak honestly to her. You don't want to pretend or be pretentious. Okay, that doesn't mean that you are psychologically being that way. It's that physiologically you're being that way. And this is the only language that your friend understands is the physiological contact. This is the vocal cord that vibrates and picks up the vibration. What do you want? All right, you're speaking to it. And it's going to give back, all right, exactly what you give her. Yeah. That's it. It's called movement. Big tummy, clear, transfer, that's it. Archer, get away from it, get over here, come back. That's it. Right. Right? Yes, that's it. Here, no, here. You travel me. Soft. Whoosh. Yes, a big huge forward. Move forward, get your fanny forward. Now sweep it to a partay. Big step out, and big basket here for the straight turn. Here to the side. This is it's in your way. Right here. The straight turn also just mellow out and balance itself out. Right. Big sweep to second. Step out, go. That's it. Now big fourth out of that. Big. Now it wasn't big enough. Remember those exercises we did? That was to show you your range. From anywhere you go, right? I have little ones, all right? I have 2 new ones that came to me about 5 months ago. They're taking 1 day a week too. They still keep going to the trash studio. They're going to. Now, all of a sudden, every mother is like, what's going on with these 2 people? They're looking, wow, what's happening to them? It's like, what's going on? They're taking privates all over the place? What's going on? And finally, the mother said, no, here's his card. They've been training for like 3 years, see? And 1 day a week, 4 months, 5 months, whatever. Now they're kicking butt. And it's real, it's authentic. And all of a sudden, people who don't know anything are noticing something. Yes, feels awkward, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right? So you pattern the muscle. Right? You have to re-pattern the muscle. Right? It's got to come from here. Your sense of that. What's going on? down here. How's it distributing itself here? The leg's got to move from that to the snugly teaching leg here. Right? I feel that hip move forward. Left hip forward. Yes, leave it there. Leave it there. Leave it there. That's it. Move forward. What was revealed to me is it even feel a bit for a while. You still hear things intellectually. And that's synthetic. We talked about that last week. It's very synthetic. Your body doesn't understand that. It doesn't transmit or translate. It doesn't come through. Right? We can all feel comfy in, high chairs and a cup of teas and, whatever, and talk intellectual talk, which is, hot air to me, and it doesn't translate into real life. And that's the genius. And you're a dancer, right? And you're tapping into genius. You're trying to transmit genius to the audience. And so you have to let go of the intellectual hearing of it and start turning it into a multidimensional reality for yourself. And that's the part. That's the art part, right? That's the expressive part. And you got to bring it in.
Well, what was it like when you went to Oregon?
Yeah. It was awful.
Is it just shocking and just wrong?
Well,
like it just felt wrong?
I mean, it really did, and they had no idea. And when I got there, Patty, the director, she was, talking to me, and she was like, you move very differently, and I like that, but we're going to have to change some things. Here, overcross your fifth, and you need to be turned out 100%, and all this. And, she liked how I danced, but...
What
What
specifically did they say that they liked about you? What are some of the trademarks that they...
She just said that I looked so calm at the bar, and just strength, and just a presence, kind of, that I was completely at home. There are all these girls, and they've got the head and the arm, and they're all jumping all around, but I don't know, I think we're all just very strong and centered.
Wonderful piece of elastin, right, that has lots of potential for release. So any resistances you feel, you've learned the last two classes how to let go and transfer. Right? One side's freer than the other. Try to transfer that experience. So use those abstractions, feelings. The suggestions are very, very real. Three-dimensionalize them. Make them part of who you are. Start, instigating a new vocabulary. Instill it in your body, through your mind. Because the gray muscle between your ears is the most important one. Without multidimensional comprehension of what you're doing, your body won't translate it. So you have to participate. You have to do it. It's not a math problem that once you figure it out, it's done. It's a daily thing. That's what makes it so exciting. Like waking up every morning, most exciting experience. Never take for granted. Treat this instrument, precious gem that it is. It'll pay you back tenfold. What do you want to accomplish with this particular movement here?
my head down.
You leave it down, and why?
Because that's one of my problems.
That's one of your problems. Okay, now, why is it a problem?
Because it looks ugly.
It looks ugly. Okay, so we're getting to the core of it. Right, so the thing is, so you want to look at it, really organically. The hip problem. It's not a problem. It's like, it's just, okay, if the hip's following you, and you only want to change it because it's cosmetically not appropriate or something, all right, it has to have something a lot richer than that. If hips following a movement, the movement's being diminished, you've lost your sense of leverage. It's like if you were, okay, take a tendu in second, all right, and you're trying to bounce like this. Now, lift your leg now, honey. Okay, now you have this leg problem, and it just doesn't look good. And that's all you have to work with. You have no reason to change it, right? Or how to change it, do you? Okay, now if I said, well, if we just transfer a little bit, right, now take your leg out in a second, right, now lift it. I'm going to even transfer a little more. Now lift it. It's a little lighter, doesn't it? Yeah, okay. So now you have a reason to do it. Now the side benefit is cosmetically it looks better. Because now it's more authentic in the body. The body is now presenting its strong sense of what? First. Full range. That's the serpent inside of your movement that you're trying to develop. It's always inside here, the figure 8 type thing going on all the time. You're always ready to go. You're gone. It's the part of the circular sweep of the inertial bank. It can't come from the dead zone. Ain't gonna happen. It's gonna look like this. Oh, yeah, just a ugly. Right, come down. Not much motion there. There should be something very fluid. Right. Swinging back and forth. It's just this huge cradle inside of all of your movement. It should always be there, even in that long tendu. All this excitement in the movement. There's a purpose behind all the things you do at the bars. The scales to music, bars to dance. And so you're always like, when I play scales and stuff like that, when I'm practicing the music, I'm always looking for color and feel and texture. So that when I start playing the concerto part, I transfer that right into it. Now it has it has a melody, it has instruction, it has all this wonderful stuff in it, and I've touched it before I've gone into it. So I'm skilled, right, before I come out and start doing phrases. I'm skilled already. So the bars have to have definite contact with your center. There should not be two different worlds. Innervate muscle. Right, so you're just thinking count and body, and so getting a little heavyweight. Right, because then you're caught up in that, and there's not much motivation behind it, is there? It's kind of empty, and so that's what you get: empty and weighty, and your body's not yelling at you. Right? Would you please make this more interesting? Okay, so what do you have to do? There's an emotionalism behind it. Right? There's an emotional content behind the character of the music. So like, right? So the body goes, right? And a 1, and a 2, and a 3, and a 4, and a 5, and a 6, and a 7, and an 8. Right? So my characters are going to be there. Right? So the muscles are all integrated, ready for that, to interpret that. And that's part of articulating your experience. Once again, with an emotional content behind it. And when you have the emotional part, what? Starts giving you what you need, right? First you fall down on your face a couple of times, but you keep insisting on it, and all of a sudden you start tapping because you really want it. A little softer here, longer. How much richer can you make that now? See, you're trying to communicate with someone, and there's a certain intent behind your communication. That's all we hear is your intent. You don't have any words, right? Your intent has to come through. The real stuff's got to come through. The intellect, the words, synthetic, no one gets it, right? It's got to come through your intent. And what is your intent? The intensity of your intent. You've heard that one. I've given that one before. The intensity of your intent. So what is your intent on an emotional level? We talked about the music last week, and I said, is this something that's kind of used to follow? And you went, and I kind of went, oh, please, right? So you start listening to the music on a different level now. I hope you have since then. See, that would help you facilitate more progress. As soon as you hear something like that, go home, start listening to music on a different level. Let go, right? Assert yourself enough to let go. Fortunately, in 3.5 years, accomplished phenomenal amounts of ability. But it was neurotic as all get out because I worked full time and training all the time, 7 days a week. There were times when every time I sat down in a chair, I stood up and I blacked out for 10 seconds before I go anywhere. That's how exhausted I was. That's how tight my work was. I was burnt out. And that's why my career didn't last very long. Because I was just like a burnt out wire. You couldn't touch me technically. I was so pure and clean. But I was obsessed with it. I had lots of heart in my dance, fortunately, because I'm a very passionate kind of person. But the obsessive one was the destructive one. It was the one dealing with absolutes. It was the one pounding its way through the process. I want this thing. Always inside there. How would you like to walk around that all day long? 24 hours a day. All right? It's not going to work, guys. That's why this tendon snapped completely. So You know, I paid a big, huge price for it. I was supposed to be one of America's finest, according to the best in the country. Never got to live that dream. So instead of pouting about it, I converted it into, okay, let's don't let other people do this. What do I do about that?
The positive atmosphere is very important because you go to studios and it's all about competition, trying to look the best, who can pull off the most pirouettes, who can get the best this and that.
I think
Yeah.
one thing that I think is really key is that this is a healing technique. I think that all of us have been healed in a sense, in one way or another. Whereas for ballet, it was a thing that it did the opposite. It was destructive for a lot of us.
Well, it's not only mentally healing. I think a lot of ways,
It's-
and psychologically healing. A lot. It's also, I think, physically, it helped prevent a lot of like injuries, for example. Well, like she was saying problems with her knees, problems with her hips, her back. And I know she was saying chiropractors, physical therapists. She's trying everything, even acupuncturists. It works. Usually, those things would work for a while, but they don't get at the root of the problem. And I think a lot of the technique and the way we work somehow, that's, I don't know, it heals your body for some reason, which is very important for dancers to have healthy bodies.
Yeah.
And you're gonna gauge measures of tension where it's tightest of all or reacting the most. It's not tighter there. There's just more material. That's where your body wants to record most of the stuff, the toxins, right? Thought is physical. I mentioned that the first day. Okay, if you don't believe that, and if you're, want to be a physicist, then talk to Einstein, because energy has mass and mass has energy. Thought is energy, it therefore has mass. So it's as physical as your foot or your hand or your leg. Very potent, instrument here. If you don't believe that, thought brought you here today. It does everything for you. It's an abstract before the reality. So abstracts are your reality from this point on. We're going to turn up the volume of your awareness on that. All right, so you don't want to pretend or make believe. You want to make your beliefs. And your thoughts have to be inspired with all kinds of spirit. She wants to become a dancer, you want to become a dancer, you want to become a dancer. What does that mean to you? And reinstill the original excitement about that. That's the most important thing. What I found, with most people of your age, you're dead. A part of you died a long time ago. It all just went right out the old window. And now you're sitting coming back and doing this over and over again. And I'm working myself to death. And I'm just fighting away. And nothing's improving. Or I'm biting the floor so hard. You're walking out just totally brutalized. It's like, what do they call that? The abused, housewife syndrome. I don't know if there's a name for that. I forgot what it was. But they keep going, the battered wife syndrome. That's right. So the battered syndrome is you keep going back to it because it's all you know. Until you spend enough time in someplace new and all of a sudden get excited about it, you don't want to divorce yourself from that. It's the only thing you know. We're all guilty of that. We have our little habits, right? We're little hobbits in that sense. All right? We have little places we want to go. As miserable as they are sometimes, it's all that you know, and it's hard to break away. And that's my job. If I'm a halfway decent teacher or a mentor of any kind, my job is to be bold enough to lose you as a student and say, we've got to kill that little monster and bring you back to life.
You're mostly dealing with someone's belief system. Okay, so it gets very spiritual now, not psychological. Psyche is like minimal. The psychological part of your being should be secondary to the spiritual being. Spirit is what you're made of. You don't know where you came from. You don't know where your thoughts originate. There's no science that will tell you where they know that happens. What compels you to be inspired, no one knows. Okay, things. Well, it's because of the accumulation of all these things. Well, no, I say it comes from a basic primitive need, an urge, that angst in us, and so I have to deal with someone's belief system about that urge. Okay, because they always have these doubts and things that canvas and block that belief system. And if you're like that, that unspoiled, uncontaminated 5-year-old, they can see magical castles built in the sand, and they will do it until all of a sudden they have this incredible castle built, because nothing will stop them. They'll just untiringly just go after this thing until it's finally done, without any doubt or inhibition. But when we get older, as we grow, we're cast with all these these things. No, you're this age. You can't think that now. You can't do this now. And all these stupid things that society does and imparts on you as a budding soul, and squashes that spirit. And so now I have to contend with years of that, because we adopt those limitations very quickly, and it spoils and retards the belief that carries us through everything. And so that's the complex journey I have to go through with each individual to break those self-perpetuated and societal things that that created this limitation about what they can and cannot do. So I have to disbar the inhibitions, and that's a very difficult task. And so I guess I'm a master psychologist, spiritualist at the same time. I don't know, but I know that I have this 5-year-old emotional urge to free them. And so the journey to get them there is then handed to me by this mystical place, that surrounds us, called infinity or whatever you want to call it, God, I don't care. But all the answers, start coming to you as to how to deal with that individual.